What's going on, everyone? The Chicago Bulls are not very good right now. They are 6-10 on the season. They've lost 4 straight games. They are just currently falling in the standings. And this is something that I presented in, before the season even began as a team to watch out for, as a team to kind of keep on the Lakers' radar for a potential trade, because I thought the Chicago Bulls wouldn't be very good. I thought that at best they might be just a play-in team. I got a lot of slack for that. A lot of Bulls fans were like, no, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. But the problem is that they were already a middle of the pack team, and several teams got better in the Eastern Conference, and Chicago just didn't. And I just don't think that they are good enough constructed to actually win anything significant, anything substantial. Now, maybe they turn it around a little bit, maybe they get back into the playoffs, but even if they do get in the playoffs, I think that this is a team that's a first-round exit. In Chicago, if you're Chicago, what direction do you want to go? Do you just decide, hey, it's time to just blow it up, right? Let's try to tank, try to turn this season around, unload some of these bigger contracts, and try to work out some deals. Also, the Chicago Bulls don't seem to be very happy. I mean, got this report that Zach LaVine was annoyed by the benching. Bull Stars questioned head coach Billy Donovan's decision to sit him in the final 4 minutes of a loss to the Magic, which doesn't bode well, right? And, I mean, there's talks of a Bulls-Lakers trade from even in the preseason, even before the season began, of a potential trade, something along the lines of DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso for Russell Westbrook. And this is something that I think could eventually come to fruition. I don't think it's going to happen, tomorrow or anytime soon, but I think it is definitely something to kind of keep an eye out, and the Lakers could really gauge. Because Chicago, again, they're going to have to make a decision if they don't turn it around soon. If they end up, say 30 games in, come the trade deadline, they're still the odd man looking out. What do you do in this situation, right? And personally, I don't want Alex Caruso. I know Alex Caruso is a fan favorite for Laker fans. I know many Laker fans would love to have Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is having a terrible season. I mean, awful season on the offensive end. He's still pretty solid on the defensive end, but our big issue is offense. We need offensive output, offensive production. He's another, undersized guard. As much as I like Alex Caruso, and he was great with us on the Lakers, he was part of that championship team, I just feel like we have a team full of Alex Carusos, especially with guys like Walker and especially Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, I think, is, in my opinion, a better all-around Alex Caruso, and just the scoring output that he's able to provide, I think, is just more useful than Alex Caruso. I just think Alex Caruso is basically he's a younger version of Patrick Beverley essentially right now. He's given the defense, but he has no offense, and it's like we already have a Patrick Beverley on the team, but I wouldn't mind going and getting a DeMar DeRozan, a guy that wants to be in LA. Every opportunity he has had, he has brought up going to the Lakers this whole season, right? I mean, every interview he brings up and talks about how, I thought I was going to Lakers. I thought it was a done deal. I thought this was happening. And the Lakers could be a real opportunity for the Chicago Bulls to kind of get back into just a rebuild mode. Maybe keep LaVine. You got to figure out the Lonzo Ball situation. You got a couple young key players that you could kind of use as a foundation to build going forward. And then just try to tank and go get Victor Wembanyama, right? Now, the Chicago Bulls, their first-round pick does belong to the Orlando Magic, but it is lottery protected. So the Chicago Bulls could theoretically move off of, DeMar DeRozan's salary. Him and, he's great for Chicago. I mean, his offensive output and just everything for Chicago, and even this year he's been really good and solid for Chicago. I just think with him and LaVine, it's not the best combination. And Chicago really lacks defense and being able to stop other teams, which is a real problem. They're not built defensively, right? You got a bunch of guys that aren't very good defensively. I mean, even Vucevic is not a defensive center. He has his moments here and there, but he's more of an offensive output type center. He's very solid, don't get me wrong, and he'd be a very welcomed addition to the Lakers if he was, or, I'm sure that there's many teams that would like him, a legit 2010 center, but he's not stopping people in the paint. He's a big body that can help, and he can hold his own a little bit down in the post, but He's not, a Miles Turner, something like that, where he could block shots, or, like an Anthony Davis, where Anthony Davis could even guard the perimeter, just in brief spurts, on the pick and roll, swap and, chase guys around, stuff along those lines. And I just think you have a bunch of like offensive scoring threats, no real orchestrator now that Lonzo Ball's out, right? Because Lonzo was kind of the one that could kind of piece everything together, and he didn't really care about his points. He's just, he's a great defender and also just a great passer. So he was kind of the equalizer for everybody, right? And on top of that, you have, if one or two guys have an off night, you're not winning very many games because you're counting on outscoring other teams. Like, to me, Chicago in many ways is kind of like a worse Brooklyn team. Like they have like just a bunch of scorers, bunch of guys that can put the ball in the hoop, but they can't really stop anybody night in and night out. At least that's my assessment of the Chicago Bulls. And look, they're 6-10. They've lost 4 straight. They haven't looked really good. They haven't been able to stop anybody. They're not putting up the numbers that they need to put up to win games. And they just lost to the Orlando Magic with Zach LaVine sitting out. So not that far off. But to kind of clear up the draft situation, so people have an understanding of what Chicago's looking like. Here's for the 2023 pick. The Bulls owe their first-round pick to the Magic unless they miss the playoffs and finish in the top 4 of the 2023 draft order as part of the trade for Vucevic. If the pick is not conveyed in 2023, it becomes a top 4 protected first-round pick in 2024. If not conveyed, then it becomes second rounders in 2026 and 2027. So if you were ever going to start tanking, this year would be that year. One, you got a guy like Victor Wembanyama. Even if you don't get Victor Wembanyama, you still got guys like Scoot Henderson. You still got the Thompson twins. You still got a lot of talent in this draft. And not just that, but if you are bad again next year, then you can get your pick next year, and then you don't lose a first-round pick, and it conveys into second-round picks in 2026 and 2027. So, like, if you're the Bulls and you were ever going to make a decision to pull the ripcord to then go and, start rebuilding, this could be it. I don't personally think the Lakers could get Zach LaVine. As much as I would love the Lakers to get Zach LaVine, I think that they could get more for Zach LaVine than what the Lakers could offer. So I don't think the Lakers would be able to get Zach LaVine. I do think the Lakers could get DeMar DeRozan. I really do, because I definitely think that there are teams that would want to trade for DeMar DeRozan, but his contract, his age, and just everything. Like, it would be hard for teams to really match that salary, give up the assets, and then hope he can come in and fit in. And how many teams that are contenders are looking at DeMar DeRozan as like the next piece that they need to really kind of take them over the top? The Lakers really could use DeMar DeRozan. We know DeMar DeRozan wants to go to the Lakers. The Lakers could really use him as like a scoring option, scoring threat. His three-point percentage has picked up. Defensively, he's been a lot better. He's not like an elite defender by any means, but ever since he got to the Spurs, he's really kind of evolved into a better defender. So I just think, realistically, I would look to get DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic. That would be like take Russell Westbrook, trade him, and, the 2 firsts, go get, a legit 2010 center that could play next to Anthony Davis, can shoot the ball a little bit. Defensively, he's not the greatest, but, you have Anthony Davis to kind of play spy and pick things up. You got DeMar DeRozan. He could come in. He could provide, your scoring punch. And you could have a starting 5 of like Walker, DeMar, LeBron, Davis, and Vucevic. Like, I think that that's a pretty well-balanced starting 5. My only concern with this is the same concern I have with like the Pacers deal, right? Like, Miles Turner is a much better defender than Vucevic is. Vucevic is a better overall scorer and passer. He's a really good passer. So you don't get the defense that you get down low in Miles Turner, but even then, the problem is perimeter defense. So like, one of the big issues that I have with the Pacers trade is that Buddy Hield is not a defender. DeMar DeRozan is a much better defender than Buddy Hield. Much better. So at least you have some defense in DeMar DeRozan. He's not great again, but he at least he's solid enough to contribute a little bit on the defensive end. So that right there would be an upgrade. DeMar DeRozan is a better overall player, better overall scorer. He's not the shooter that Buddy is, but he's just a better scorer than Buddy is. And so I think DeMar DeRozan is a huge upgrade over Buddy Hield. I think on the offensive end, Vucevic is an upgrade over Miles Turner. You don't get the defense, but like Buddy Hield, you don't have defense on the perimeter. Miles Turner doesn't provide defense on the perimeter. Anthony Davis can guard perimeter players in spots, but you don't really want him guarding, a perimeter guy 38 minutes a game or whatever. And now you're left with Walker and putting a ton of pressure on LeBron James night in and night out to be a great defender. I just don't think that that's a good idea. At least with this deal, like if you had to choose between the Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and the Vucevic, DeMar deal, I would rather have that deal because, again, at least DeMar is a serviceable defender. So you have some defense there. So you have basically Walker, who's going to guard the best player on the other team night in and night out like he is already. So you have him guarding the best player. DeMar can guard the second best player. And then now LeBron can guard, if the third best player isn't a big, well, then now he can guard that the third or fourth best player or whatever he needs to do. You can kind of he doesn't have to, he still has pressure to be good defensively, but it's not really much more than what it is right now. Not just that, but all the different lineups that you could use and create and stuff. I still think the Lakers need more depth and, things like that, but the money works. You could do, so Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan are about $49 million. And then Russell Westbrook is $47 million. So you could actually do just the swap with the 125% rule. Or if you need to, maybe you can move off of like Damian Jones's contract because, you're taking on another big. That's your way to get off of Damian Jones. And then you have a 4 big lineup of Davis, Vucevic, Bryant, and Wenyen Gabriel. I think that is one of, if not the best 4 big unit in the league. And then not just that, but you'd still have you'd still have Patrick Beverley and Kendrick Nunn that then maybe you could go and get like another wing player or go get another rotation guy. Problem is you probably have to give up both first in this deal, for being honest. Vucevic is an expiring contract that you could re-sign. You could re-sign him to a new deal if it does work. If it doesn't work, kind of just let him go. You're basically swapping, the real prize is swapping Russ for DeMar, which I don't think is the worst thing. I think DeMar would be a much better fit, and he was kind of the guy that the Lakers were supposed to get from the beginning anyway, so that could be something. And I think, Vucevic, it just gives you the scoring output because we haven't been great defensively lately, but we're starting to pick it back up a little bit. And not just that, but our offensive output has been a real problem. But we have been moving the ball a lot more and sharing the ball, which I think these two guys help. DeMar DeRozan has developed into such a good playmaker that he could take a lot of pressure off LeBron too if you need that. I just think that this would be a better suited trade than like the Pacers deal. Like, so if you could do this deal or you could do the Pacers deal, I would do this deal 10 times out of 10 because you get a better overall scorer in DeMar DeRozan over Buddy Hield. You get playmaking in DeMar DeRozan, and you get better defense, like I said. And then on top of that, you don't get the 6-block center and Miles Turner, but you get a guy that legitimately it could be a 20-10 guy, whether he plays with another big or not. We've seen him be able to do that. He can stretch the floor a little bit. He's solid, low post threat that you can dump the ball down to and let him go to work if you just need an easy bucket. You have Anthony Davis to kind of spy and help on the defensive end. You could even run Vucevic with the other guys like Thomas Bryant and Wenyen Gabriel. You can, run DeMar in various lineups as well and still works. I just think that this would give them more flexibility. And I do think that this trade would make them better than the Miles Turner and Buddy Hield deal would. But I don't think it's like insanely far off, but I do think that this is a much better overall deal. You move off of Russ to 2 first. You get, the third star that the Lakers seem to be really trying to covet. You have DeMar and Anthony Davis going forward after LeBron leaves. DeMar isn't that old to where it's like, man, this guy's terrible. And he doesn't really rely heavily on athleticism. So he should still have a couple years under his belt, at least through his contract. You got him locked up. And you got him locked up on a reasonable contract, especially with the cap going up soon. He's not on the best contract. And it is high for most standards, but I think once the cap spike jumps in a couple years, I think that he becomes a lot more reasonable, and then gives you a little more flexibility towards the later years of his contract. So that's something that could really help. But overall, I do. I think that this would be one of the better trades. Still kind of like the Spurs trade better overall. I mean, DeMar's the best player out of any of the trades that are out there, right? He's the best player out of anyone on the Spurs, anybody on the Pacers, anybody on the Hornets. So if you can get the best player, get the best player. Like if all of the deals are 2 firsts, right? Then this is probably the best deal the Lakers could get. And so I wouldn't be mad against it, but I kind of like the Spurs deal still just because of the flexibility. You still save your cap space. You can re-sign guys if you need to. You get a trade exception that you can then use the trade exception to go get another guy or two. So the Spurs deal kind of gives you the roster rehaul, where this kind of like locks you into your team. You basically have Anthony Davis, LeBron James, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic for the next 3-4 years. That's your team. Are those 4 good enough to win a championship? I think they're there. I think if everything works out great, I think DeMar could be an easy fit. Might take a little trial and error, but he played in the Spurs system, which I think really helps. Kind of being able to blend in and fit what the Lakers got going on. Vucevic, I think, is a solid center that could really provide a scoring punch. So I wouldn't mind this. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think the Lakers should do this deal if it was on the table? Again, there's nothing concrete. It's just something that, it's something that I mentioned in the offseason. I was like, hey, Chicago's probably going to be bad. Keep an eye on them. They may be a destination for the Lakers. And, anyway, again, however you feel, good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between, let me know down in the comment section below.